On this episode of the Corpus Animus podcast, we discussed the workout Mikko's Triangle, which was created by 2009 CrossFit Games champion Mikko Salo, why the four of us did it, what the workout's good at improving, and how we put our own spin on it. And then we break down the upcoming Legends CrossFit Masters Games workout by workout, and Travis Mayer ranks them 1 out of 10 for each. If you are a Masters athlete, we just put out our Masters Competitor Handbook, which you can find linked below if you're watching on YouTube. And if not, just head over to trainingthinktank.com/Masters Handbook.
All right. So shut up, Max.
Kick us off, Max.
So we have a multi-topic episode that we're going to cover today. We're going to go over Mikko's Triangle, which is a fun, maybe is fun the right word?
If you have a group of people, it's fun.
Yeah. It is a fun, challenging workout series of progressions that we use for part of Travis's games prep and Brandon built and I suffered through, and we're going to just talk about that, and then that's going to kind of segue us.
I feel like already that's going to be very misleading. Half the audience just goes, no, Brandon did not create Mikko's Triangle.
Oh, sorry. The progressions for Mikko's Triangle, yes. Brandon created that we followed. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll lead into the Masters Games. We're heading out there to the Masters Games. Chris is heading out to the Masters Games. The workouts were released, so we thought that those would be two good topics, and we'll probably bounce all over the place and maybe not just stick to those two.
We also need to highlight that Chris did do the Mikko's Triangle.
He did with me originally.
I know.
Yeah.
I was the whole reason this whole shindig started.
Yeah, I think that's where we should start, because a lot of our progressions, like we have concepts, right? So like throughout the year, we sit down actually around this time for the next year. So like we're already thinking about 2025 and what's our plans in our online program? What are we doing differently with our individual athletes? And we come up with this template of what we want the year to look like. And this time of year, earlier on, we said we want some specific endurance progressions in our training. Randomly, Chris came to me and was like, hey, have you seen the Mikko's Triangle? This was like back in February. And I was like, I've heard of it, but what is it again? And then did you send me like an Instagram link maybe or something like that, Chris?
Well, so I think in hindsight, I could say so Rogue put out a PDF that they're selling of Mikko's Triangle, but I must have saw something without seeing that, of someone else mentioning it, and that made me go, oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that back in the day. I want to do that, because Mikko's the whole reason I'm even here, is watching him in the 2009 games was my entry into CrossFit. And so that I was like, yeah, that'll be a fun thing to do. I'll go check that out. And so I checked it out, and then
sent it to me.
Sent it to you, said we should do this. A couple days later, that's when I found out that Rogue had created their PDF that they were selling for it. And I was like, oh, that must have been the reason that I saw someone talking about it.
Is it a PDF like a program?
Yeah, it's a program.
Oh, okay.
They built
a progression to train for it.
Yeah.
But is the original one was C2?
The original was with an assault bike, and then they switched it to a C2, and then they went back to an echo bike. And what's funny about it, to go back to the story I was telling, is originally in the template, when we were doing this in 2023, was what we call our breathe test, which is the same 3 machines, but it's AMRAPs of 30 seconds, and then you have 30 seconds rest. So it fit perfectly because it's a little bit longer. I was looking for something a little bit different and something that Chris and I could do together. To go back to the whole community thing, it's just way more fun when you're testing out stuff with someone else. So
we still haven't even told. I mean, maybe everyone knows, but
yeah, we should probably say what this is.
Say what it is. Yeah.
Sorry,
for those. Yeah,
we're rusty on podcasts.
Yeah, it's been a while. Also, there might be some podcast listeners that are new to the sport that don't even know who Mikko is.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I guess that's the true
let's
thing.
backtrack.
We need some B-roll from him.
Yeah.
All right, first say the test, then we'll say who Mikko is.
You want me to say it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
just so you have the full
for sure.
definition.
So
I feel like the interpretation of what I did versus what probably is accurate are two different things.
That's true. 10 rounds. You start on the echo bike. So 1 minute max cal echo bike into 1 minute max cal row into 1 minute max cal ski. And then you rest exactly 1 minute and you start. It is a rolling clock similar to Fight Gone Bad. So you cannot stay on that machine longer than a minute, and you can't start the next machine until the top of that following minute. So just keep that in mind.
That's the gray area, I feel like, for a lot.
Oh, for sure. People like try to get the rollover.
I'm convinced I lost because James got rolled.
He was so proud of that victory.
I have to tell people at some point what I lost in my test with him.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, so it's a 40-minute workout, 30 minutes of working time, and 10 minutes of rest. And it's a pretty nasty workout. I don't know the history of how Mikko's Triangle became a workout, but Mikko became kind of like an icon.
Mikko Salo.
Yeah, Mikko Salo was like an icon of the sport. He won the 2009 games, right? Yep. And he was kind of the first person that I think took the whole combination of strength and endurance to the next level. Like he was running 18-minute 5Ks and deadlifting really heavy and
working out in silence.
And,
Did everything in his little shed with no music, no nothing.
Utility closet.
Oh man, I just remember watching those videos and I was like, this guy's insane. I was like, I need to do that. And after like one session, I was like, I like the music. I'm sorry, I'm not that.
Yeah, he did honestly in some ways kind of pioneer the sport. So he, I think, was one of the first people. Back then, it was much more about the intensity and going hard and the short workouts. Almost all the benchmarks, other than the hero workouts, were really short. Like especially for elite athletes, even back then, we're doing Grace under 2 minutes and Fran under 2:30. So I feel like the hallmark of CrossFit was like hard and fast. And then he came in and he was using like European research on endurance training and was doing long intervals, and they made a documentary I think called like Sisu or something. Right?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest classic videos of all time.
Yeah,
it was
old
really
school
good.
one. Man, I forgot about
That may have been when I got to know him. When did that come out, Chris?
It would have been like right after he won the games.
Yeah,
I think
so
Savon went out there and filmed him.
I think that's my introduction to him and kind of my introduction to like true CrossFit. Because obviously everyone had heard of it. You watch a little bit of it. But Travis, to your point, it was like, man, this dude is like incredible. And like when you saw him, you thought toughness.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because he's like, oh, maybe I can be as tough and
not sitting down after workouts.
Yeah, that was where that all came from, was the I'm not gonna, what did he say? I'm not gonna fall on the floor. And
after I'm done.
Yeah.
Like it would always stand up, no falling down. I feel like that same kind of thing like Colton Mertens does, like just and then just walks. Like, all right, well,
I'm gonna lay here.
I'm just gonna lay down for a minute. I don't feel very good.
Yeah. So
no, I feel like that's also just part of the gym culture he was at. Colton.
Per
se, because I remember Shannon being at his gym and they would be like, the gym would like not let people lay down when they were done. They, like the guy was like an ex-SEAL or something and was like, don't show weakness. Finish the workout and just keep going. And I was like, I'm gonna take a minute.
Yeah, I mean he was a champion. He did win the sport
for sure. But there's a difference between performance and toughness, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes they go together and sometimes they collide.
Yeah, he challenged my whole concept too, because I feel like back then it was more, there were bigger, stronger athletes, and then there were smaller gymnasty endurance athletes, and he was one where I was like, oh, he's like deadlifting really heavy. I mean, he wasn't the strongest guy in the field, but he was definitely like a pretty strong, smaller statured human who was really good at all the machines, all the skills. So he kind of was like that first big step up, I feel like, in like well-roundedness. So anyway, that's Mikko. Where did the triangle workout? Wasn't in that
just
documentary?
No, I don't think so. But it was something he came out with
part of his legacy.
Some point later.
Yeah. Long time ago, he was doing all those intervals, longer intervals. To your point, right? Like everyone was doing a lot of short sprinty stuff, or maybe a sprint and then rest to recovery sprint. And he was doing some of that, but then he also was showing off all the longer endurance work that he was doing. And I think he pioneered that part of the sport, which was good because some of the events were 20 or 25 minutes long and people were only testing like a 2-minute time domain, to your point.
Yeah.
But when Chris sent it to me, I was like, man, this is like, we've got to do this. Let's have some fun. And then Chris and I sat down, we wrote the progressions. We, as in Chris, wrote the progressions.
Chris is actually the creator of all of our programs. You didn't know.
No, I didn't write a thing. I bought the Rogue ebook, started that, and then Brandon was like, well, we're going to work this in differently.
Yeah, I was like, let's try something a little bit different to fit the program that we're going to do in the fall. And so I wrote that, and then Chris and I were the first ones to do it. It worked really well. Shared it with you guys, and then you can tell a story about Travis and the whole group, because Kyle Ruth did it. He's going to the Masters games.
So I've been, even in my own training, trying to figure out, like, I like the concept of going hard, but I can't do hard stuff with Travis anymore, like that he does for the sport of it. But I had this kind of thought process. Linda was coming over here and he was prepping for the games, and I was thinking, okay, we made a decision together that he was going to try to peak his machines out. And Linda was another person that is really powerful on the machines, and I wanted them to almost sharpen their strengths leading into competition. And from a practical standpoint, it had all three of the movements in one progression. So like you get echo bike, row, ski all together, all at once. And it was something that I could suffer with them through, which was the worst part about it. That was my only regret of the thing, is that I agreed to do the progressions with them.
It was your idea. It was your idea from the beginning of wanting to do it.
So we were still in the other gym space, super hot. We get up at, or I decided that it would be an early workout partially for heat tolerance and so that I didn't melt and die. So we started,
by the time y'all started doing the progressions, it was hot as hell.
It was
very warm.
So Tuesday morning, Saturday morning, we got together. It's 2-day-a-week progression.
Yep.
And the way that it actually played out, Travis did like 4 of the 7 weeks of progressions because we were navigating a hamstring strain. And then there were like, it just kind of became unpractical when we got some of the workouts from the games and he kind of jumped off. But I ran through all the progressions. In the process of working together, Mike jumped into the progressions with me on one day of the week. Kyle jumped in on one day of the week. So we had a pretty good group of people that were just hammering the machines twice a week. It was pretty fun.
It was way more enjoyable with a bunch of people.
Yeah, it's hard to do that by yourself.
Yeah, that one's a tough one by yourself. I remember testing it by myself because I remember it was like right after semis. And then knowing that we were going to do that, and I was like, well, you need to do it. And I was like, whatever, I'll just go do it. And I think it was at like 2 in the afternoon. It was hot.
Hold on, should we mention how you test this? Have we said that? Like what the goal of it is?
So the goal of it is basically to do the initial test and then run through 7 weeks of the progression and then retest at the end of, and it fits
He's
into
saying like the score.
The score.
Scoring.
I don't think we've mentioned that at all.
Because that's, I feel like, a big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
you do it.
The way we're setting it up is just max calories. So you're trying to get as many calories total on all 3 machines as possible. The way, though, that you would do this well is to be as well-rounded as possible. You know, some people are like, well, I could game it and sprint the Echo Bike because I can get way more calories on the Echo Bike. But it's like, okay, go ahead and try that and see if you can get more calories in someone that's just sustainable across all 40 minutes. So we've told athletes, you want max calories, but do your best to stay as sustainable as possible with a really aggressive kick on your last
And
rep.
that's how his version is. He's not telling you to get max calories. That's something you added, but he was saying try to hold the same number across all 3. So
so basically your lowest score was your score, I think. So if you held 13 on one machine, 15 on another machine, 17 on another machine, your average is like 15 on all of them. But I think the way that it originally scored was your score would be like 13. And we found that was just kind of, it was not really a practical way to train and measure capacity.
It's not. It doesn't measure capacity because all the machines are different, and the way that you output, the output that you can elicit on each machine is different. So the ski erg is almost always going to be a little lower output, even for powerful athletes. So we wanted people to be able to push and do, like for Travis, he's averaging 22 calories every minute on the Echo Bike, but he's not doing 22 calories on the ski erg maybe, and that's okay because in a games test, if he could average 22 and then 20 on the ski, he's probably still beating everyone.
Do you remember what you're
Hold on. I'll explain the story of what happened. So I ended up going out there and testing it later in the afternoon, and Brandon told me his progression of what he did starting, and I was like, well, I'm fitter than that, so I'm going to be more aggressive with this. And for those that don't know Brandon, he's very fit at these things.
And when Brandon did it, he just casually had the Masters on his iPhone watching it while he was going.
And it was like, what, you did? You held 18?
I did.
I think was the goal. The
initial
first
test
week.
was 19, and then I did 21s
on the end.
Yeah,
and so I was like, well, I think I can hold 21 from the beginning if that's what he held at the end. So I made it 9 full intervals with 21 on every machine.
Which is, I mean, that is flying for people that haven't done this.
Yeah. So then on the 9th round, so there's only one more after this. I'm close. I went 21, and then I went 18 on the row, and then I got to the ski erg, and I didn't start pulling the handles until about 15 seconds in to give you perspective of what just happened in my body. And I got 11. And so
11? I never even got 11.
Well, yeah. And so then based off of the original, like, your lowest score is your score, everyone's like, oh, you got 11. And I'm like, get out of here.
That's what I said.
So ended up recovering, doing the final round, and got 21 on all of them again. So it was really the 9th round, I just fully imploded and didn't survive. But then after that, the rest of the progressions were holding anywhere from 22 to 21.
Man, I wish I was there to see you implode.
Yeah,
I would have made fun of you forever.
I mean, it was very easy. I could show you exactly what happened. I just stopped. My body stopped on.
Well, for those that do the test, it really is interesting because even if you're really fit, there comes a time in that workout, like 5 rounds in, I was like, oh, I'm going to crush this. And then like the 7th round, I started to really spill over. Yeah. And then what you're talking about with the ski, when I'd get there, it was really hard to start at the 0. And for those that do this, you have to like start pulling right away because especially with the ski, it's hard to get to your working pace as you get fatigued. And then you're sprinting the last 10 or 15 seconds.
Well, I think you also have to take into consideration you have to finish before that, right? Like you have to make sure if you're picking a target goal, if your goal is 19, you can't finish at 58.
No.
Like, you need to be finishing at 50.
Yeah, to get to the next machine.
And on to the next machine and pulling at that time. So when I was hitting 21s, I was finishing at like anywhere from 40 to 48 to make sure I had time. And that was probably more aggressive, and I could have slowed down and maybe finished into the 50s. But for me, it was like, just get on the rower and like have a second to pause and then start pulling. And that worked better for me personally. But every time I got to the ski, it was the worst every single time. Like, it never felt good every time on the ski.
You weren't doing that though, right? You were kind of more sustainable. Like, Travis was sprinting the Echo bike.
No, I mean, I was finishing at like 52 seconds for all of
but
mine.
He was like
beginning.
40. He was at 19 cows at 40 seconds, and then he would just glide to 22 or 21, whatever he was finishing at, and then get off.
Yeah, he was done probably like 5 or 6 seconds earlier. Also, after you said that, I feel like I need to caveat to the people watching. The psychology of suffering is different, because you said in round 5 you felt like, oh, I could do this. At the end of round 1, I was like, what did I get myself into? I got 9 more of these.
You're 3.5 minutes in.
Yeah. So we got a little bit different physiologies and bodies and skill sets here on this couch.
Yeah, but at least everybody can do this one. Like, this is a simple one that everybody can do.
Yeah,
Hey, real quick, why was this like a bit like, so once I brought it up to you, and I know you said it would fit into the program, why was this something that you even entertained? Like, what's good about this from a training perspective?
Well, the first thing is it fit perfectly with what we were going to do. We were going to do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off of the same machines for 30 minutes. But the whole time I was talking to Mike, who also helps write TTT Compete. I was like, I want something that's a little bit longer. So 40 minutes was perfect for that. And we wanted to blend all the machines. And this is something that this time of year is we kind of get more sport specific. You know, for most people, they finished, maybe they did quarterfinals or they did some summer competitions and they took a little bit of time off, and now things start to ramp back up in the fall. Like, we have all these different qualifiers that are starting or that are going to happen in October, November. We're like, let's get a kind of a peak like you did for Travis with this for the games. We're going to peak people for their qualifiers or any in-person competitions, because almost every in-person competition either has a row, a ski, or an echo bike. So this is a really good way to get comfortable on those machines this time of year.
Yeah, I'd add, so a couple of things up why I think it's really good. In a normal endurance activity, you're usually on the same machine, so you go continuously on it for a period of time. In a CrossFit workout, there's always transition, so you're getting on and off machines a lot, and the acceleration right off the bat separates a lot. So like that row wall ball workout, 19.1,
the 20-minute AMRAP or whatever.
Yeah. Where you go 19 cows, 19 wall balls, 19 cows. If you do 10 rounds of that, you're transitioning in and out. And the first couple pulls on the rower are super important to get cows. So it gives you that acceleration that I think is necessary to be a good CrossFitter with cyclical. And also, most people train, like, most of the time, they're doing, 3 to 15-minute workouts at peak power. It's very different to have your system under that heat stress and breathing stress for 40 minutes. You can't take it like all year round, all the time, and also be strong and also peak every system. But it is an area I think CrossFitters often undertrain, especially like the intermediate competitor or the masters competitor. That group of people I feel like is pretty dialed in with their strength, pretty dialed in with their movement and skill, and maybe pretty dialed in with their shorter Metcons. But it takes, the progression can take 45 minutes of just being on the machine. So I think it's like a good thing to fill in just well-rounded capacity.
Yeah, I think there was such a variety once you get into the progressions that some of the progressions felt worse than the actual workout itself.
Oh my God.
Oh,
there was some brutal ones.
And for those that don't know or have never been coached by Brandon or seen his progressions,
He has no empathy for weakness.
No, yeah. There was a time I let Mike, Brandon, and Max all write a programming for me, and some of these sessions that Brandon would write, it took about 3 weeks of getting acclimated to feeling like I will never accomplish anything in the sport to like, now I feel like I'm the best athlete ever. And it's the same thing with these progressions. The first week of doing it, like Brandon said, the first 5-6 rounds were like pretty smooth. And then week 1 of the progression, I remember I looked at Max and I had to take an extra rest period because I was dying.
Was it the Tabatas?
No, this was the,
I remember
2 minutes on each machine. And I fully redlined, and I was having to hold 44 calorie or 42 to 43 on each machine. And I fully imploded towards the end of it.
It's your fault for testing so fast.
It was.
That was the mistake you made.
I agree. But it was also by like week 3 and 4 was like the fittest I was feeling on any of those machines. Like my recovery paces in actual Metcons where there was an Echo bike or there was a ski was so much higher and I was so much more comfortable. So it's like, you just know that it's going to pay off at the end where you're like, oh, now you're starting to like really see the benefit of it, how hard it is like during it. But then like seeing it in Metcons, I think was when it was like that's easy to get on board with.
Just real quick, what I was going to say is watching you go through the first couple of weeks, obviously it's a grind, but then I remember Max or someone wrote a chipper where you had to do like 50 heavy wall balls, 50 sandbags, 50 box step ups, and you finished with 50 cals on the bike. So it was like a grind all the way through. And I would guess like you're obviously very good on the machines, very good at all those things, but a typical games athlete at the end of that with all of those things, maybe he's holding like 420 to 450 on the bike to finish those 50 cals, which is still blazing fast. You got on and you were at like 520 or 530 and you held that all the way through. Like that's such a good sign of, okay, something's actually working because you can sustain that now. And that's to your point, like getting up to your pace right away and then being able to hold it was, I think that's where you can benefit.
It just felt easy. Yeah. It just felt effortless.
Hey, real quick.
Nope.
No one wants to hear
what
I have to say.
I want to hear.
Well, okay. I was just going to say, do we want to? We're all different fitness levels here. We all did it. Do we all want to say? Travis kind of alluded to it. What we felt like we got out of it by the time we were done.
By the time we were done,
yeah,
for sure. First, I need to have Brandon's back because in order to do the progression correctly, you need to test the workout to know where your first capacity is. Based on how my schedule lined up, I couldn't test the weekend before that Travis did the initial test, and I kind of made the decision that weekend that I wanted to do the progressions with him. So I just jumped into Tuesday and guesstimated where I was, and I guessed that I would hit around 16 calories because that's what Allison did on site. And I thought that was a good barometer for where I would target. She is a semifinal.
She's a machine.
She's very good on machines.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah. Don't you guys make fun of me. So I started, and the first progression I think was like 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, no rest, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, and then rest 2 minutes and repeat it. So it was almost like doing the triangle-ish on the first session and trying to hold the pace that you did in the actual triangle.
Aggressive.
So I did it at 16 on that first one, and like that session like almost broke my psyche on day one. I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. But then after that, every single time I did a progression, I tried to ramp up the calories that I was doing. So in week 2, I tried 17s. By the end of it, I tried 18s because I thought my ego was a little bigger than my fitness capacity, and I thought
nothing wrong with that.
So
Max's ego?
Yeah,
no.
See, we're here in a minute. We're going to transition into telling people they should be conservative, and that
I know, it's
the
so
highest
funny.
yield reward is to be conservative. But as you'll see, we can't even do it.
We can't control it.
I will. I think I actually will do the progressions again, though, at
I'm
the
going to
appropriate
as well.
paces.
Yep.
I think it would be good. So I would say that what I got out of it potentially was a little bit more of like getting back into the ability to face really uncomfortable situations and keep working fast. Like mine was like 8 weeks of mental toughness and aerobic building that I was missing in training anyway, because I wasn't training like that. I was doing more movement work, more strength work, more martial arts, and like it's a very specific thing to like suffer at near your max heart rate. So I feel like my fitness just rose a lot, and I maintained a lot of it. Like I came back doing the tribute workout for Lazar that had a ton of burpee pull-ups and rowing, and it was long. It took us 30 minutes. We just beat the cap, and I feel like that like ability to sweat, breathe, and move at a pretty fast pace for 30 minutes was peaked really quickly in 8 weeks. And also I held the adaptations because it's kind of been a month-ish since I finished.
Yeah, I kind of wish I made it through the full progression going into the games just based off of all the machines and stuff, because there was like times I was like, I can tell it's fallen off a little bit from what it was at. But I mean, you just feel way more comfortable working at like such a higher pace. Like for me, it was like I would hop on and 480 would feel moderate towards the end. And then at the very end, it was like, all right, I'm at 550 and I'm like just hanging out like a little stroll. And I was like, that's a big difference.
When y'all keep saying those numbers, that's watts.
Watts on the
I
Echo
go
bike.
off watts on it.
What's 550 in RPMs?
80,
Yeah.
is it around 80?
Somewhere in the 80s. I don't know.
Maybe
I'm
85
so bad at
or
doing the
something.
RPMs.
I don't know. Something like that.
It's really, really fast.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize. And he was doing it at like a working pace.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I'm going to
for
spill over in
40
30 seconds.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I think it just, for me, translated into all the Metcons with the machines, that it just made it way easier. And it almost made all the CrossFit stuff feel easier because you weren't ever breathing that hard. It's a different type
That's
of
what I
breathing.
noticed.
But
My
it was like,
breathing
I
was-
never felt like my breathing felt super labored getting into some of the Metcons. You finish like, okay.
You're like limited by other things.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
when you're just full breathing that hard, max effort, nothing feels like as worse as some of those sessions did. That when you finished a Metcon, you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty good.
It's like the most basic form of fitness to do simple machines and measure your power output. But it really is the only place that you can really expose those type of limits of your breathing. Like if you're doing squat snatches, they cycle too slow, or you got to brace and be heavy and you start missing positions, when it's just like, hey, you're on a bike and it's not even a bike you have to balance on. Like you just have to like put power into it. It develops that just like general fitness in a way that other things I don't think can do.
Chris, you talked about not breathing, or you felt like you could breathe comfortably.
I felt like I was a breathing champ.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I actually, this will come out next week. I did another test that where all our Compete athletes are doing this next week. 10 rounds for time of 15 cals on the rower, 15 burpees to touch. And when I initially started that, it was at kind of the same time I was doing the triangle progressions. And all I noticed when I did the first test on that was breathing really hard. Then when I retested it after doing the triangle, there was like breathing was not a limitation at all. It was just getting off the ground for the burpees. Like it was very local, but I felt like I could really hammer the row, and it like I PR'd by almost 2 minutes in that test.
You were flying on that.
Yeah, but without doing a ton of burpee work, but it was just because I felt like, man, I can control my breathing the entire time, and that was really helpful when I had to dig into a longer workout like that.
Yeah, that was impressive to watch.
I don't know what that's like.
Yes, you do.
To feel impressed, or
No, to feel impressed, yeah, or to impress people. I meant more to breathe at max or move at max effort for 15 minutes and not be out of
it's
breath.
like you rolling on a mat with one of us and us feeling like we're dying and suffocating,
That's what
and
it
you're
would be.
like, oh, what's wrong? You guys can't just roll around.
But
and
we're
do
not
this?
using the same amount of energy. Like on a bike, you
But
have to
me
like
probably laying on the
put-
ground trying to survive for my life would be like putting
doing
that
the echo
effort
bike.
on is like me, you on the echo
Yeah.
bike.
We should do that for video sometime.
All right, so
What, roll with you? No.
what would the tips be, since you guys kind of went through this, for those that are going to start this progression in our programs?
All
I
right,
mean,
should I mark the hypocrite? Is there like a hypocrite alarm bell I can sing?
Well, should we note too that I think everybody had different machines that were their hardest one, so it wasn't like right.
Yeah, I think if you're going off of the way I interpret it was you have to hold the same on every machine. Like that to me was like, what can I hold on each? If I couldn't hold 21 on the ski, then my goal, of course, would be like pick a number that I'm going to hold there and do that on each machine. If the score, of course, is total calories or something else, that changes it. But for me, it was the skier. I knew that was going to be the hardest one. So whatever I could almost like max effort hold, but I knew I was on there the whole minute regardless because I got the minute rest. So I just picked a way more aggressive pace, but knowing kind of where you were at is what I kind of like based that off of. And then the first couple intervals, I was like, I'm pretty sure I can hold this till I couldn't. But I think for most people, just looking back now, I would have gone maybe a couple calories less on each, knowing the progressions and like where it was getting to. Or just making those slight adjustments, how you would have like plus or minus 2 on certain days, where I always interpreted the plus. I never took in consideration the minus.
That's just your demeanor,
yeah,
though.
and I was like, oh no, you got to add 2, and then it just sometimes would backfire. But I think just being conservative almost at the beginning, but still like challenging yourself. I think pick aggressive numbers that you think you can try to do and try to hold it. But you need to test that warming up too.
Yeah.
Like don't use the first minute as you're like go, and then you're like 20 reps and then or 20 calories, and then you go to the next one, you're like 16, next one 12. You're like, okay, so you probably should have gone like 14 the whole time.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt one more time, but I think I'm just getting worried that we didn't make it super clear that our intention with it too is for those to try to stick to getting the same 3 numbers on each machines, right?
Yeah.
the score is going to be max calories, but in the notes in the first week when everyone tests this, and by the way, we're testing this on September 10th in our program. So our new cycle starts September 9th, which is a Monday. That Tuesday, we're going to test the triangle, and then you'll go through a full 7-week progression and then retest in that last week of the training cycle. So it is going to be total calories, but the goal, especially for your first test, is going to be to stay as sustainable as possible. And the reason for that is going back to Travis's point. I think what happens with people when they test originally is they're just like they're willing to spill over, and either they blow up and they don't get good numbers because at round 7 they're just like at 9 cals or 7 cals, and then there's no progression off of that because you're at half of your capacity. Or they go out so hot and then maybe the last round's bad, but then they're like, oh, I'll just go off of my highest average, and then you can't sustain that for all the progressions. So I did it to where I knew I could hit those numbers every single time without a doubt and walk away.
Hit the same 3 numbers or hit the same numbers across each rounds?
I hit the same numbers across every single round.
For all machines.
For all machines.
machines.
For all machines.
Let's make that point super clear because I still don't
so
think
he
we're
held
doing it.
18 on row, ski, bike the entire time.
Yeah. The reason why I would maybe hesitate on that, because I've seen some data of other people do this workout. If you're training for it and like doing it the way Mikko had intended, across and having linear scores is the way that would be scored, because you're trying to have the same output on every machine. But there are some people like competitive small girls, for example, that if you have them trained to the slowest machine, like let's say they can hold 13 across because their ski erg is the slowest one, they might be really under training the other ones. They might need to be like 16, 15, 13. So I think that is why we have total cals.
Yes, max cals. And if you're the same, does not mean the same on echo and ski. It means your ski, if it's 13, you stay at 13. But you can go 17 on the echo, but you want to hold 17 on the echo the whole time. So whatever your first number is on the echo, keep that. Your first number on the row, keep that. Your first number on the ski, keep that. But those numbers can be different because everyone, again, a smaller girl is not going to pull the same on a ski as someone that's a little bit bigger.
But we all did it trying to hold the same numbers all the way across for all of the machines.
Because we're all powerful enough on the ski erg that we can do that.
Yes, exactly. So is that clear now for you?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm with you.
Got it, Chris.
What was your original question that Travis answered?
I was talking about how each of us had different sticking points, different machines were sticking points.
Yeah. And then you asked about tips, I think. Tips doing it.
Yeah, like tips, what you would do going
Yeah.
into it.
I
was just saying pick like a conservative, like smart number that you're going to be able to sustain on all of them.
Yeah.
Not redlining out at the beginning and not also like cherry picking of like, oh, I'm going to go 14 the whole time when like really you should have held 16 the whole time. Yeah. Like even the times that Linda, you were like, hey, add another calorie. And she was like, no. Like I think taking the chance, like it's an easy one to take. And then like you get the minute rest, like you're going to be fine.
Well,
you-ish.
Someone that's super fit. Yeah, I think that would be tip number 1 is start out a little bit more conservatively than maybe Travis did, going at 21s. Like, people don't realize until they get on machines how fast that actually is, especially you're only going for 50 seconds because you have to transition to the next machine.
Or try it and see.
Yeah, you could. And then I think the other thing is work on getting to your working pace as quickly as possible, even if that blows you up a little bit when you're going through these progressions. I think that, Max, you talked about this. It's so important in the sport to be able to transition in and out of a row or transition in and out of the echo bike or ski erg quickly, because you could lose 10 or 15 seconds every round if it's a 20-minute AMRAP going from row to deadlift to double under like in the open last year, if you're not good at getting to your working pace right away.
You should probably explain how you set it up, too. Like, we had it all very close. Like, each machine was not like in a straight line. Like, they were directly side by side. So it'd be like echo, the row was literally half a foot away from the bike. So as soon as you're hopping off, like you're in it and rowing, and the same with the ski. So I think take that into consideration. Like, don't set it up like, oh, I'm having to advance to each machine. Like, you're wasting time there.
Yeah. My tip is more like my mental dysfunction is that I love the challenge, and I always set maybe overambitious goals that I can't reach for. In endurance, that can sometimes be a huge backfire, because then you're doing the progressions improperly and blowing up. So I'd recommend people actually follow the initial test and then do the progressions at paces that you can sustain, because I think you just get more out of them. Like, in a short period, it was only 8 weeks. So I think I got the mental toughness and I pushed myself. And if I did fail intervals, I got through like 7 or 8 of them before my paces fell off. So I probably did okay, but I think I would have got better results had I just done the initial test and done my progressions at 16, because it would have helped me sustain all the way through the longer intervals that we did in training versus having, I was reaching for something that was a little outside of my ability and then crashing at the end of the workouts. And that's kind of what happened to me in the main test too. I tried to hold 17, and then by like the 7th interval, I was like 15, 13. And I was just like, hanging on for my dear life.
His giant ice cooler that he brought for himself to cool off. I think you do need to explain what you lost in the bet with James. I think you need to just highlight that to everybody.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it publicly, but
okay, you don't have to say it publicly.
No, it's fine. I'll do it. One of our on-site athletes that Brandon coaches did the progressions. He did the progressions like 8 times in a row. So he's been doing Mikko's triangle for 5 months. But we agreed that we were going to test together, and it was the day before move. It was me, Kyle, Julian, him, Mike. We all tested it, and the loser had to do a throwdown written by the other person while wearing a outfit of the other person's choice. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be wearing yet. I did give him some limitations as to what he could put in the Metcon, but I have a feeling I'm going to be Metconning in a G-string soon or something.
Excellent.
Something you guys probably don't want to see. And I don't want to do.
Visualize it.
Hey, last thing, and then we could switch to Masters games because we're already like 30 minutes in. But so they had the Rogue ebook, and definitely go check that out. But when we decided we were going to do it and that you were going to put in the program, what was the reason that we couldn't just use the ebook and just imitate that?
Yeah, I mean, I looked through it, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing, but I wanted the progressions to fit in with the other CrossFit or sport-specific work that we're doing, plus the strength work. So I had certain time demands, and then I also wanted to play around with some new concepts with Tabata intervals, which is going to be a new introduction to endurance training for a lot of people, because you think Tabata, it's like, oh, I'm sprinting max effort, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 sets, and that's it. But there are some kind of, you guys went through them, they're tough. There's some different iterations
of that. Those were intense.
Yeah. Some of those were rough.
So those will be the second session each week. I won't spoil them for those that are going to do it, but it's a lot of fun. And honestly, I thought those were better for my sport-specific, or like the true getting into the gym, doing a 20-minute AMRAP, because you're transitioning so fast so many times. You got to get to your working pace right away, and you only have 10 seconds transition. It was like super intense, but it also gave me time to think about how would I transition from toe to bar to a power clean to a wall ball in a Metcon.
Yeah,
that's definitely the one that taught me to get my paces up quick, because you just don't have time.
Yeah, like a normal Tabata interval is what he said. It's basically just 4 minutes of like 20-second sprint, 10-second rest at full effort where you're kind of falling off pace. But Brandon has basically taken that structure, extended the duration that you do it, and doing it for long periods of time. So there's one session in the week that's a little bit longer and more continuous that matches Mikko's work. And then the other one is more like sprint recovery, long rest, sprint recovery. And that got nastier than anything I've done in a long time. Yeah. And I also did it incorrectly again.
You did.
I like the worst demo person ever. I'm like, follow the programs, read the coach's notes. I remember we show up and pull it up. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? All right, let's go.
We showed up that first day you did the Tabatas, and he was like, here, just trust me. We're going to do this. After we were done, I was like, is that what you meant to?
Listen.
Did you write this right?
I was already home, and Max sends me this long text of like, I don't think that this is sustainable. And I was like, wait. He sent me his numbers, and I was like, there's no way he started at that pace. I was faster than my pace, and I was doing 4 more cals. And then I realized you were reading it incorrectly. Yeah. All the notes will be in there for those that do it.
I read it incorrectly.
For those that know how to read, you guys will be just fine.
I did my first intervals on the second day of the week faster than Travis on the first round. And I was like, I must have read this something wrong. Yeah. And then by the end of that session, I was just melted into the floor.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's intense.
Well, there's your tips.
Well, speaking of things being hard to read for old people, Masters games.
Old people. Yeah. Who are you classifying as old right now?
I don't know. We're all pretty old.
Are you Masters yet?
I'm still 3 years.
You're 33, I thought.
Yeah, but it would have to be the year you're 35.
No.
Yes, that you would be at the game. So I would still have 3 more years as an individual.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm old. Are you a Masters yet?
A year.
One more?
Next year.
And you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Can't say.
Yeah.
27.
42.
As a segue, I thought I pulled up the CrossFit Games workouts. As a segue to how did
mine close too?
Yeah, how do Mikko's progressions tie into Masters? I feel like this is one area of training that like age doesn't influence as much. There's no impact on the machines. You really need VO2 max ability in general, like the ability for the heart to pump and to breathe for just general health metrics. It transfers to other things. As we go through the Masters workouts, there's not many long things that this trains for necessarily.
There is an Echo bike.
That is
so that
true.
matters.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, for those that are Masters Games athletes and compete, they did the triangle progressions. I put those in over the last 12 weeks for them.
Maybe. So are they going to do it again?
What do you mean?
Like in the next cycle?
Oh, yeah. Some of them that do jump back in will.
Yeah.
But I think it's perfect for those that were worried about the Echo bike workout because that's going to be exposing for a lot of people. You'll talk about the workouts, but like a max cal Echo at the end is going to be brutal. But I think those that did it, like you would feel much more comfortable doing it after going through the 8-week progression.
For sure. Workout one? Workout by workout?
Or how about just let's do some thoughts heading into the Masters game. So what, today's Monday and we're
Today's
leaving
Tuesday.
on Wednesday?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday?
We're leaving tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I got to get some stuff done.
yeah, you're right.
I got to pack.
Check-in is tomorrow. They released the workouts last, I think it was Thursday or Friday. So not a lot of time, and I'm okay with that. You know, one of the things, this is not a knock on them for when they release it, but I think what would be really cool in the future for all competitions is like there's a standard that it's 10 days out, all events are released because it gives everyone an opportunity to see the workouts, know the standards, ask your questions, and then everything is clear. I think that'd be a really cool way to do things.
And it will still not be clear.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
very unclear.
But wouldn't it make it more clear if there was a digital brief? And by the way, Legends did that. They had calls with every single age group. I think they've done a great job with communication. So I just want to give them some props for that.
Also, they're under a lot of pressure and
ice right now.
Yeah, and a lot of things changed with what happened at the games. And even us internally, we made the decision to go support. Legends basically inherited the Masters CrossFit Games. It was an independent, organized event, and the CrossFit Games was going to basically cut or move the Masters Games away from the main competition. Legends stepped in to do it. So there were a lot of athletes, even ahead of time, like, should we go? Should we go support? Is this like, is there something going to happen? So there was that. And I think then there was another layer because they had mentioned that they were going to release workouts. And I think HQ came in and had to re-review everything, which pushed the release back. Yeah. So, I mean, some grace we understand that there's other things going on to like the release of the workouts and stuff. But anyway, I just thought that was an important caveat to put in there.
How many people do we have going?
The total number is like around 15, I think 15 games. And then we got quite a few, that they're doing a team. It's not like a true games competition, but they have a team division, which I think is really cool. Like our Masters community, I've told Max this before, but like we went out to Legends last year before it was the games. And that was one of my favorite competitions to go to. It's, in a small venue, they only have a couple floors, but the Masters athletes, they're doing it like because they're passionate about the sport. And to me, that is so much fun to watch. Some older people that maybe don't move as well, still grinding away and pushing themselves and doing things with their bodies that most 50-year-olds or 55-year-olds or 35-year-olds can't do. So I really hope it goes well, and I'm excited for what Legends can do with the games moving forward.
Yeah, I think I'm pumped to go out to do something for the love of the game again. I feel like there was a lot of, I work with professional athletes and the high pressure and the stakes and what happened, and this is like a cool opportunity where for me, even though I have people that I'm coaching that I think could potentially win the event, and there is that like, oh, let's go out and win, it's also like we're all in the same mindset of going out and having a cool experience and supporting the community and having fun in the process, which is just much harder to do when it becomes a professionalized thing. So those are my overall thoughts. Travis?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any Masters. I mean, except all the people that I know from the community and from here that have come in and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just cool to kind of see that they didn't get rid of it. I think that was the bigger thing that I was like, man, you're going to affect a lot of people that come here and support. And I was actually curious how the feeling was going to be at the games, right? Because that's a whole nother large group of individuals spectating, being there, hanging out, like the whole dynamic at the games. But I think it's cool that they continue to keep it alive. And I think it's definitely like, it's still a market for like a lot of people wanting something competitive outside of like their normal 9-to-5 job or something. Like, I think it gives people something to train for, something to be excited about, and something that's going to challenge them that I think a lot of people just stop doing later in life. So I think it's cool they're doing it.
Yeah, and to reiterate too, like it's pretty amazing that there are 65-year-olds that are doing ring muscle ups and doing them well.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, or a squat snatch or overhead squat or handstand walking. And I know some of those things maybe aren't programmed for the 65 plus, but people can do them. Like I have a 65 plus athlete that worked on all of those things just in case they came out. And I'm thinking, like, that is insane. He is 30 years older than I am, and he still can do all of these skills. That
I'm having a hard time at 30.
Yes, yeah. So
I was impressed yesterday. Ant's athlete, she's 57, Lee, and she was out there just doing an overhead squat with the PVC pipe, and I was like, wow. Yeah. Not because she did that, but it's like, I can't look that good in a PVC squat.
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
Yeah. Ivan is training on site. He's one of Ryan's athletes. He's 65. And he sends me his programming to do with him. And I was like, I can't do this right now, dude. I'm like, you're 30 years older than me. I was like, I got to train to be able to do this.
I posted him doing 5 ring muscle ups yesterday on Instagram. And that thing went like hotcakes. Like, it was like I shared a clip of one of you guys winning an event at the games. Like, people were sharing it like crazy. I was like, dang, love for the old heads.
Yeah. We need to post more videos of him, I guess.
I mean, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It is. It's very impressive to watch.
Yeah, so as far as workouts go, there are 10 events. 2 of those events, though, the 55-plus community or age divisions won't do. So they're only doing 8 of the 10 events. So for those that maybe haven't looked at the events yet, just so you know.
Which 2 are cut off?
It's going to be the standard event.
The 30-30-30.
And then the overhead squat, walking lunge, overhead squat workout. Those are the 2 that the 55-plus won't be doing.
So, and I heard that now there's cuts after the end of Saturday. So what do
so
what do the older divisions do? They only do 5 workouts before the cut and then 2 workouts on the last day?
No, there'll only be 1 workout on the last day for everyone. So they'll do 7 workouts through Saturday, and then there'll be 1 workout, which is the bar muscle up single arm thruster workout for all divisions on Sunday.
And then the award ceremony?
Yep.
So it'd be an early day on Sunday or no?
I don't know when the final.
I'm just trying to plan a golf schedule. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know when the final heat will go.
What we're doing,
but I do think I don't have a problem with cuts. I do. I've heard from some Masters athletes that were like, "Well, I plan to be there late Sunday and have multiple events, so my flights are Monday," and they, there's some complaints about that, and I get it, right? But I think if you there are 450 athletes plus the team athletes. It's a lot to cram into maybe a Sunday, and that's probably why they had to have 1 event on a Sunday.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think as we go through this, and this is something that people need to, especially purists in CrossFit, the testing architecture of a competition that doesn't have massive funding or massive support from somebody like Rogue is always going to be constrained by logistics. Like, you're not going to get hey, we're going to have a 1 hour long event and we're going to have, pegboards, because like, who's bringing the pegboards? Where are they hanging them? What does that do to the insurance? So I think as we go through it, you'll see like, okay, well, the workouts are a little bit more simple. The logistics go from one side of the floor to the other and then back to the same side. So that way they don't need as many volunteers to come bring the equipment back. They're shorter because they have to get more people in. So as you're kind of going through it and analyzing workouts, I would say don't analyze them under the same lens as you would normally for something like the games or something like Rogue, where the resources are there to be able to kind of test however
resources
they want.
And time.
Yeah, resources, time, and people probably too.
I don't have a problem with that. I am probably in the minority here, but I would love to see all competitions simplify things a little bit. I think we, over the last 3 or 4 years, because we wanted to have more variance and complexity, the sport, and I don't just mean like CrossFit, just in general, we started to program things that are like, gotcha movements, as opposed to like, hey, we know everyone can do double unders, maybe even like games out there. They can do double unders and they can do a heavy sandbag, but we don't need to have it where it's a sandbag on top of your head doing an overhead squat with triple unders in there. I get that the games athletes want to keep being tested, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I've said this before, when they do things that look silly on the game
we look
stage,
like idiots.
Yeah, it doesn't bring any new eyes to the sport, and in fact, it brings, if you look on X, a lot of people mocking it because they're doing things that like even the best in the world couldn't do. So I really like, as a purist, the simplicity that's involved. Now, I get people want ring muscle ups and handstand walking, so some older age groups that don't get that maybe are a little frustrated, but just in general, you still got to be good at the basics.
Yeah. I actually, like, just big picture, I kind of love the aspect of this program, looking through all 10 workouts. They're very accessible.
Yes.
Even like the snatch speed ladder ending at 225. There are some like masters athletes, especially in the 35 to 40 division, that might be like, oh, that's light to end because we're used to ending ladders at 265, so it should be 245. But if you really look at the broad base of masters athletes, if you bring even that last snatch from 225 to 245, it starts to make a less well-rounded athlete because you have to be like super, super strong as opposed to being well-rounded. So I like that they seem to have made it a little bit lighter, a little bit less high-level skills. There's still some in there, but it's just like all the stuff that you do inside the box. So it's like, hey, you do CrossFit in the gym, and then that you're coming to the competition, and that's what you're doing also, which I think is good. Maybe the game style stuff or a rogue style thing can input a little bit more, but I like this general vibe of just making it like, hey, everybody who does CrossFit can do all these things, and then it's a matter of like who's better at the thing.
So Max, you talked about the time constraints. I think you see that with the programming. All of the longest event is 18 minutes. There are a couple that are like 2 to 3 minutes long. I think that's still long enough. Like 18 minutes is kind of what they do in the open or semifinals too. You don't really see many that are 25 to 30 minutes. I would love to see one event that's like 30 to 60 minutes for the Masters Games athletes, but there's just no way when you have a confined space, to your point, to be able to do that with all of the age groups. So I totally understand how 18 minutes is the longest workout.
And the logistics is super hard. Like, okay, you do people would be like, oh, you could do a mass start event, but then you're like, all right, well, it's 450 chips that you need. You need course marshals to monitor the course. You need the data afterwards to cross-reference. You need cameras. I mean, if you want it to be legit, either cameras or course marshals in the line of sight to make sure people aren't like veering off course and cutting corners. So I get it. And I feel like we just need to extend like understanding as a community that, hey, when we go to these competitions, you're not going to get the like theoretical perfect testing. You're getting like, hey, we're attempting to do well-rounded testing, knowing that it's almost impossible to do in practice.
Did they have longer tests leading up to this stage?
It was all the semifinals tests, right?
Yeah, I mean, when they're in qualifier style, it's all like you're doing it at your own gym. Usually they're pretty short, or they're 20 minutes or less, so that's kind of normal. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay. It's within the time domains they usually do, but because they always do shorter ones, it's nice to have one longer test, I think. But again, like if we were the event organizers, we couldn't do that either.
Yeah. So their long one is actually the first one. It's 4 rounds for time, 600-meter run, and then deadlifts in between the 600-meter runs. The deadlifts go from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 per round. And then the weights they have listed, I think, are for the youngest divisions through 55, right? 255-pound or 180-pound deadlift. So I mean, it gives you a good enough like test of endurance. I'm guessing most people that do well in that workout would also do well in a 40-minute workout, but it's kind of specialized that running, you know, and the hingers will probably crush that type of a workout.
Hey, after he reads all these, Travis, you give us your 1 out of 10 stars right after he reads it.
And
Go ahead.
But based on what? Just overall?
Just an
like,
athlete if you were doing them.
Oh, like my performance?
No, not your performance. What you think of it? Like if you had to do.
Oh,
these.
I mean, to me, I love this type of work. I mean,
1 out of 10.
That's his thing.
I would say a 9.
Wow.
If we get any higher, we should make Travis demo one of these.
I feel like I could demo all these because these would be my jam.
You would love that workout.
Every single one of these.
Not old enough.
For my first one, I'd probably give that a 9 because I love a good run in the deadlift.
All right.
I will say the deadlift weight is, I think, light enough for most, like the 35 to 39, where they're going to move pretty fast.
I mean, it's going to be unbroken.
But
you look at like Will or somebody. Sure. You don't think they're going to do 20 unbroken at the end?
No, I don't. I think they'll break it.
I think they're going to have to break it.
You want to put a bet on the podcast?
Does this mean you already know Will's training time or something? So you already know what he did. I'm not making a bet.
I would bet that Travis could do this whole thing unbroken and very fast, though.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're basing off Will. Serpent Cerna.
No, I know Will didn't do the whole workout, but I know Cerna did. I think that it's enough running and heavy enough that in the 15 and especially the 15, if they're going to run again after that people will probably break. Because doing 15 right there and then going into 600 would.
I wouldn't break either.
You wouldn't?
No.
Neither of you?
No.
All right. I think that should be our post-podcast workout. They do this workout against one another for time to see if they do
I don't want to race Travis, but I know I wouldn't break it. Now, the one thing I will say on this one, when I'm looking through, because we have athletes in every age group for Compete, and then I have athletes individually that I coach that are in different age groups. The weight doesn't go down much for the older. It does in some of the workouts, but this one 225 and 155 for 55 to 59-year-olds.
And
so it's
below, so like 40 or 45 to 49 is just staying these same work.
It's 245. No, they do 245, so it's only 10 pounds less, but that's 10 years older, only 10 pounds less.
Yeah.
So for the 35 to 39, I think it's probably going to be a little bit of a different workout.
So is it like a pound per year? Is that what
that's
they're
what it?
basing
Yeah,
that
I
off
guess
of?
so. But you think about a 55-year-old that has to do 225. Like that's pretty heavy compared to what it usually is modified as.
Yeah.
All right, your stars 0 to 5.
Hold on, he already started.
Did you?
All right, so
it's a
0 to 5 is
4.5.
fine, then a 4.5.
4.5
I think
stars.
to
No,
people that-
no. He doesn't get to change the star system. It's-
0 to 10 is too. That's too many.
No. We already
All right,
started.
we got
You're
a
9.
All right, event 2, 4 rounds for time, 4 rope climbs, 6 sandbag cleans, 40-foot handstand walk, 12-minute cap.
It's 150, 100 for 35, 39.
For me, it's 7.5.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. I like this one.
I mean, I like all of these. Like, if I'm looking at it from my perspective, like if these came out in a competition, I'd be pretty excited for 98% of
So
these.
I'm going to give tidbits on the other age groups just for those that are listening that maybe haven't seen these workouts. What's interesting about this one is that the weight does drop dramatically. So for your 55 to 59 females, for example, they are using a 50-pound sandbag. So we have a couple 55 to 59 females, for example, and they just like doing 6 reps there is almost like nothing. It's like picking up a med ball for them, the stronger ones.
Yeah.
Whereas the 150 and 100-pound bag may be challenging for some of the 35 to 39 or 40 to 44-year-olds.
Yeah. I thought too, like, I don't know if this is like criticism or just like thinking about the workouts. I know that talking to Ivan, they took the handstand walk out of the workout. And I feel like for people
For his age?
for
Is that
his
what you're
age group, yeah, he's 65 plus. I feel like for people that have those skills, doing some like progression where it's like maybe push up, dumbbell shoulder to overhead, and then allowing the last round to be a separator would be cool to let them showcase if they have the skill, knowing that there was a way to like still get a time on it. And I don't know if 40 feet of handstand walking equates to 4 rope climbs, like just in terms of like, if you wanted both of those skills to kind of be the same in it.
Yeah, or
those are just things I think about
10
when
feet, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Still giving them the exposure to it, because I think, right, like if he has been practicing every single day out there, working on them, trying to get better, and then you're like, now you kind of don't get to showcase it. But I also see it from their standpoint too, of like, well, if you have 8 people that can't, and you're watching the final heat, and you're like, well, this looks bad now that no one's able to do it.
It's not a criticism, just more of an observation. Thinking about it, would
Adjust
be
the
cool.
movement.
or just something to allow the people that can do it to. I feel like it's just a cool statement if somebody's almost leading into 70s and can do handstand walking and muscle ups and. I think that's just pretty cool.
Yeah,
like, I mean, he put a post up about it, and it was one of our popular things.
To give everyone insight, though, at the Legends Championship last December, they had handstand walk written in for the 60-plus divisions. And the 60-plus divisions came to the organizers and said, there were enough of us that can't do it. We prefer to have it modified. So they modified it in the event to an overhead walking, or just an overhead dumbbell walk, basically, for like 50 feet or 100 feet, something like that. So I think that may have been a thought of, well, there are a lot of these same guys that made Legends last year that are here. So instead of us only watching 1 or 2 guys do the handstand walk, we'll do either nothing or overhead carry. Or the other thing may have been, CrossFit came in and said, let's nix the handstand walk for the older age groups. We just don't know. I agree with you, though. It'd be really cool to maybe start with like it's a push-up or a handstand push-up, a wall walk, and then the last round is a handstand walk.
Yeah, I'll shut my mouth about it because I don't want to criticize too much, but I just think that would be cool in the future to be able to provide some sort of a scoring system, or there's like an additional 50 points, like you do this workout as normal, and then the last thing is like a 2-minute handstand walk, or just something that allows the people that have skills
that actually have it to be able to
get points for it. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, what did you already give your ranking?
7.5.
7.5.
7.5.
Next one. For time, 25 overhead squat, 80-foot dumbbell walking lunge, 25 overhead squat, barbell weight 75, 55, dumbbell weight 50, 35. And
This is going to destroy
I only
your
coach
legs.
people in 35 to 40 and 40 to 45. So you need to do all the extra old scale stuff.
So here's one of the workouts
Extra
that
old?
the 55 plus will not be doing. So that stops at 54.
So
now,
don't do this one.
Oh, this is the one that's one of the ones that's pulled out?
yeah,
Oh,
but the weight for 50 to 54, which is the oldest age group that does it, is the same as the 35 to 39. So just keep that in mind.
I think that's fair and reasonable. I mean, it's light
the
enough.
weight's light enough.
Yeah.
That is so fast.
Now, here's the one thing that they're not going to do. I think they're just going to do like a farmer's carry lunge, but I think would be really cool. 25 overhead squat, 80-foot overhead walking lunge, 25 overhead squats.
No. The owners of Legends released a podcast, and Ant listened to the whole thing and said the overhead squat lunge workout is lunge with 2 dumbbells in suitcase or farmer's hold. Yeah. So no overhead.
But that would be, talk about a
I mean,
great
even
test
if
of-
you did one single arm, you get back to those overhead, shaking the whole way down.
Yeah. So where would you rank that one? Also, I watched Kyle Ruth do part of this workout, and he's squatting so fast that he's hovering off the ground in between reps.
I feel like this is definitely going to be a judge discrepancy kind of issue with how fast it is
workout,
with the weight at 75 pounds for some of these.
You
people.
got to remember though, you haven't been involved in masters, especially as you get into the higher divisions.
I've trained with Will long enough, and
Will,
Julian,
yes.
the younger, the 40 to 45 and under. They're still squatting just as fast, regardless of that. I think once you're hitting the 50 plus, that's when more of the speed of movement slowing down. But no, I've seen plenty of people squat, and Will's going to be squatting faster than I am.
Yeah, he would
on something like this.
Yeah,
my rating, I think it'd be worse if it was thruster, but
worse.
Like a 5.
A 5.
It's kind of like,
Oh, okay. God, he's got a harsh critic over here, man. That's fine.
I mean,
it's a failed
test.
It's
cool, but I think I would like to see the weight a little heavier. I think a 75-pound overhead squat is literally like an empty barbell.
You'd want to see it heavier for you or for these people?
No, for these people. I think you just change the weight. I think as the ages go on, take the 10 pounds per year, whatever, however you want to add it. But I think you still have 35 to 39-year-olds who can pretty much compete at the highest level still with us. And if you gave that to us at a 75-pound overhead squat, the speed of movement is so fast.
Yeah, it would have to be 100 reps on
and then
both
to
sides
Brandon's
or
point,
something.
or that is now an 80-foot handstand walk. So you have an overhead squat into handstand walk into overhead squat.
That'd be fun.
Now just change the whole workout. But that's just my thought.
You're entitled to your opinion. They're like butts. Everyone has one. They don't need to listen. I was gonna say a-holes, but I didn't know if I should say it on the podcast.
Butts was good. Butts was good.
Everyone has a butt and an opinion. All right, event 4, snatch speed ladder. 4 reps, 3 reps, 2 reps, 1 reps. It's 2 barbells, 135/95 for first barbell, 165/115 for the second barbell. Then there's another barbell set up at 195/135 for 2 reps. Then they add weight and they go to 225/155. So that was part of the podcast, that there's 2 barbells. The first bar with a weight change, then the second bar with 1 weight change.
Do you know if this is power squat?
I'm not sure. I think it's anyhow for all the lifting.
My guess is it's going to be anyhow for everyone, from my understanding.
Yeah, this is going to be fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
it's a 2-minute cap. So
you're going to be, whoever's the faster weight changer is going to be who's winning this.
Yeah, for the younger divisions, it's definitely the weight change.
Yeah.
And maybe just how quickly you can step up to the last bar and just power snatch it right off the bat. After that, it does get a little bit more strategic, though. What's the weight changes?
Yeah, so I think the 55 to 59 have probably the hardest, because it's 170 and 115, which is going to get pretty heavy for some of the
heavy, yeah.
Yeah, for some of the 55 to 59 men especially, and women. 60 to 64, it drops to 145 and 90 pounds, and I think that's going to be a little bit more manageable, but still their snatch is a little bit different. A lot of them are kind of pulling it up to forehead and then pressing out, which I'm totally fine with, because at that age it's a little bit harder with internal rotation of the shoulder. It's just going to be a little bit slower. The times that I've seen, though, people still, the stronger athletes in the older age groups are getting it done in less than a minute. Yeah. So they're going to be a lot of fast times here.
What's the fastest time you've seen?
I don't want
You don't have to say by who.
I don't want to say that, because there are people that will win the workout. But the weight change is going to...
We'll tell you off camera.
The weight change matters.
I've seen a score around there.
Yeah. But what if they fumble the weight.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm worried about now. Like,
well, and I
You
think
need the weight
like
change.
and it
Weight
depends
changes.
on like what kind of collars. Do you have the ones that you have to clip all the way, or do you have a spring collar? Those
so with that
definitely-
said, that's something that people will practice over the next
But
couple
the
of days.
problem with it, because I was talking to Julian about this, I was like, if you show up and it's a different barbell or a different collar or a different clip, you're practicing on something that you're not going to do. So I feel like it's almost something you got to do in your warm up is like figure out what the clips are or something. But it's not my favorite thing in the world that will be one of the most important part of the workouts is how good you are at weight changing. But I guess it's like a NASCAR pit crew. You got to be your own NASCAR pit crew. All right, what's your ranking?
I give it an 8.
8?
I like short, fast. I like short, fast workouts.
What if it was 4 barbells? I know. Again,
I think that
logistics,
would be way better.
Where would you rank it?
Probably still an 8.
Oh, okay. Golly, this guy's the worst.
I mean, I'm out of here.
I feel like it's been pretty fair.
I think it's been fair. Like
That's true.
a full 10 would be like it's perfectly executed and like it would be my favorite thing to do and watch.
It's like every workout I
Like
write for you.
to your point.
Give us an example of a 10 in CrossFit's history, not here.
I mean, to me that would be like you give me a row wall ball double under kind of one. And
Oh, so that's just a Travis workout.
hey, all the things that I'm good at.
Perfect workout.
no, I mean I think
Well-rounded test of fitness.
No, I like probably a 10 would be the burden run, something like that. You test endurance, you're testing some lifting, you're testing some skill, you're testing some mental grind. Like to me, things like that are fun.
What was the one a couple years ago where you had to run up the Capitol steps? That was a fun
Capitol.
one.
Oh,
Was it called the Capitol?
Capitol.
That was
cool.
I feel like that was a good
That was a
test
good
because you had
test.
to carry, you had to
Yeah.
flip the
Flip sled. Yeah.
The flip sled.
The
Pig
20 pig flips,
Yeah.
5K run, sandbag, and then carry. I think that one was really cool. Yeah, I mean,
That's a 10. Or you think you're just picking workouts that you like?
I was going
Like,
to say, you
or
got a
that
lot of
did
screen
well.
time. That,
I know that's part of it.
He was the
right?
only
Like,
one on the
I'm
screen for like
somewhat-
12 minutes.
Hey,
I'm
this is
somewhat biased.
Yeah,
like,
the first
of course
time
I'm
the
gonna,
game showed them on the live stream.
Yeah.
for like the
still
whole
don't-
thing. They
Yeah.
just basically
They
like
didn't have a choice.
they had to follow the leader.
They had to follow the leader.
Yeah.
So they had to follow me.
Yeah, that's great.
Henshaw and everybody didn't know what to talk about. Well, he looks fine.
Yeah, he can run.
Like, oh no, I don't program for this guy. He's out front. What's he doing?
Who is this?
I don't know his heart rate metrics.
All right, event 5. Ooh, I hit my Instagram limit. I gotta ignore limit here.
Do you
Oh,
want me
like
to
you
tell? All
said,
right.
I got it.
No, that's back up. It's back up. 4 times, 75 wall balls, 40 shoulder to overhead, 30 dumbbell step overs, 40 dumbbell snatch, 75 wall balls. Confirmed on the workout that the dumbbell step overs are 2 dumbbells in the hands. What else is on there? Chipper, dumbbell,
Barbells, 115.
and single arm dumbbell snatch.
Yeah, and 115 barbell shoulder overhead.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do the weights. Normal wall ball, 2014. Barbell, 115-80. Box, 24-20. Dumbbell, 50-35. I watched Matty G do this workout on site. This one is just...
This looks spicy.
Whew, yeah,
This
this
is
is the
looks
hardest
very
one for
spicy.
sure.
Just
spicy
watching.
meets a ball.
Like long enough that it's definitely going to be a challenge. Those 75 wall balls are definitely going to play a role into this.
The first ones or the second ones?
Second one.
The second ones, yeah.
Well, I think the first ones play a role, and people are going to make a mistake as they always do, going out with really big sets. Even those that are good at wall balls,
That's the
they're gonna
only
do-
way to do it, Brandon.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, if you're not a
I'm just
TTT
kidding.
athlete, you definitely should do the first set unbroken.
unbroken. Yes.
Definitely.
I mean, I really do think
Bless
that
you.
we'll see some of the younger athletes that do really big sets and are way out in front, and when they get to the box step ups, they're going to blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the 40 shoulder overhead is not like a small amount, and like 115 is still heavy enough that there's going to be fatigue setting in on that after the
And
wall
what
ball.
people don't think about is you go wall ball, which is shoulder heavy, even though it doesn't feel like it for 75, maybe for those that are good at wall balls. But then they do the shoulder overhead, and then they have to hold the dumbbells, which is also shoulder heavy, going into the dumbbell snatch, and then again finishing with more shoulder overhead, which
Them
is a wall
shoulders are going to feel good.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty watching it. I feel like there's just a lot of separation in the step overs and in the second wall ball set. I feel
ball.
like
What did Matt get on this workout?
I don't remember. And I don't know
Did he
if I'm
finish it in the
supposed to-
time cap?
Yes, he did.
He did?
He did. He finished in the
Did
time
you rank
cap.
this one?
I give it another 8. I like it. Overall, it looks fun.
Man,
it's
I think
definitely
it's
a good
great.
challenge.
That's a great
Yeah.
grind. They're going to be.
I don't
a
know
lot
what
of
I'm
people that
actually
don't
going to give
finish.
as a 10. Like
No, we're
maybe
not
like
looking
an
for a
8
10.
maybe like an 8.5. 8.5 looks fun. I like it.
Can we get an 8.6?
How
No.
many people finish this? You think most people finish in 15 minutes?
No.
Yeah, I think
don't.
it's going to be.
I think there's going to be a
grind.
lot of people getting capped in the wall balls at the end.
Yeah,
for
same.
sure.
Same. Pace it. If you're going to the games, be smart. You have to be able to kick on the snatch and the wall ball at the end here.
Yeah, I think it's the dumbbell step over down.
Yeah.
Like the 75/40 is irrelevant pretty much at the beginning.
Yeah, it's not irrelevant.
Not irrelevant, but like
yeah,
from
it's not
like
where the separation
don't,
really
like take your
happens.
breaks there.
Yeah.
Like don't sell your soul, but it's gonna happen.
All right, event 6, interval format. It starts with 4 minutes of work in round 1, then a 1 minute rest. Then it goes to 3 minutes of work, then a 1 minute rest, and then 2 minutes of work. And as you're going through those intervals, you're trying to complete 105 or 80 cals on the Echo Bike. But prior to doing those Echo Bike calories, you have a buy-in each round of 75 double unders and 20 chest to bar pull-ups. So you do 75 double unders, 20 chest to bar pull-ups. Then in the remaining time of 4 minutes, you get as many cals on the Echo Bike as possible. At the 4 minute mark, you stop, 1 minute rest. Then you repeat the double unders, chest to bars, and get as many cals in the 3 minutes. Then a 1 minute rest, and then double unders, chest to bars, and either AMRAP cals in that last round, or you get up to the 105/80. That was kind of
get all that,
complicated to
Trav?
announce.
Yeah,
It is.
like reading this it's a mouthful.
This is the only one that I think I could beat Travis in right now.
Ooh, this is the one that we
I
should
give this
do.
one a 9. I like
You
this
like
one.
it?
I
Yeah.
like this. I
Come
think
on, let's demo this. You got to get
That's
ready.
fine.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, I just
Your-
think it's
your
cool. I
biceps
like
are
the buy-in. I think it tests the double under skill and then the chest bar and then like how hard can you work on the
well,
bike.
the double
at, like,
unders
that
for
pace.
you wouldn't impact you. They would impact me a lot. But the Echo Bike, I feel like I could really kick hard in that 4 minute.
Yeah, I think the 4 minute you can get
get a lot.
You can get pretty far, but I
It's
think
3 minutes, so you
also
could get
fully implode.
75 cals in the first 3 minutes,
Yeah, you could.
holding your
Yep.
triangle pace.
Is it 25 cals a minute on a triangle pace?
I'm saying you'd kick
I mean,
the
I
last-
was holding
Oh, yeah, yeah, like
21
with a
at
kick.
40 something seconds.
I
And
don't
that
think
was
you get
pretty
75 in the first round.
I think for sure.
Let's do it.
If it's just one round, he definitely
Let's
could.
put a bet on
I
this
almost think you could finish it.
one. In the first round?
Very close.
No chance. Come
Zero.
on, let's
I didn't say
test it.
finish. I didn't say
Demo.
finish. I think you
He
could
knows
get very,
scores.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you could get very close.
What's close? I'll take the under on whatever.
Wait, how
number
long
you
is this
said.
workout?
4 minutes.
4
4 minute for the first one, 1 minute rest, 3 minutes.
Yeah, but he's saying in the first 4 minutes he could get close to finishing, and I'm
Yeah.
saying no, he can't.
I would
So
finish in the second
it'd
one
be a
for
4
sure.
minute workout.
So
in
we're
the
gonna
second
walk.
interval, you're finishing
Yeah, but how close are you getting in the first one? That's really what I'm
to
curious
probably,
about.
I think you could probably get close to 80 to 85.
All right, let's bet.
oh,
Are we doing
You
this
will
after
not-
this
God,
podcast?
that would hurt so bad.
You won't get 80 and be able to.
I haven't done any training in 2.5 weeks. I'm not doing this. This
Come
would
on, yes.
rock my world.
You got to jump back into it. We talked
I
about
think your
that.
better strategy would be like 65 actually, because then you'd only have 40 left in the
For
second
sure.
one, and
No,
you could do that.
We don't.
No,
that's
I-
not what we want to test, though. We want to
Well, no,
test.
I
how
agree.
deep you
If
can
I was
get.
competing, I would do that. But I'm saying if someone wanted to
If it's just one round, 4 minutes max
wanted
effort.
to try,
Yeah,
I
I, mean,
think
you
they-
could get close to 80. You would be.
I mean, you're saying, no, I think it can be doable. I'll test it.
All right. All right. We'll follow up, folks.
So this is another one, just like a real quick thing.
I haven't wanted to work out until now because now you got me like motivated to.
It's not me. He's the one that challenged you.
yeah,
poking the
I
bear.
Really, yeah, just
So the numbers do drop dramatically for the older age groups. It's 75-20 as far as the double unders and the chest to bars until 50 to 54. And then it goes to 15 for 50-54. And then it's 60-15 for 55 to 59. And then 50-10 for 60 to 64. And then 65 to 69 age group is 30 double unders and 10 chest to bars. So that's a much
they're gonna have a
different-
long time on that
a
bike.
long time on the bike. But again, their power
Can
output
I do the
is
masters calories and double unders?
totally.
yeah, when you're older.
Now, their calories also are different. So it's 105-80 just for 35-39 and 40 to 44. And then it goes to 95-65 for a couple age groups. And then the last few age groups is 85-55 or 75-45.
Yeah, I really like the play of this workout because I feel like they picked a number where for the elites, probably in each category, that you're going to have to take a risk or be really fit to finish in the second round. And if you take the risk and you don't hit it, then the next chest to bar double under set, I think, is going to be very
ruined.
challenging
Yeah.
for people. And I think there's going to be people that are close to finishing in round 2 that then get capped overall in the workout because the last round is only
They're so
2
red
minutes.
lines. You think so?
Yeah, so it's
You
a
better
cool
make sure
test.
you finish it.
Yeah, so there's a good risk
Yeah.
reward. My only I don't know if this is a nitpicky or I'm curious, is one thing I don't like about these styles of workouts is like, what's the clarity on rollover, or are the cals stopping at the 4-minute mark, or if somebody pedals past the minute and gets an extra 1 or 2 cals, like those things I think really matter.
It just has to be whatever's on the screen at the 4-minute mark.
And then they reset it. Yeah.
I just feel like that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I think
they'll roll it over. I think they'll just let it roll over.
I do too, but then you could get an extra 2 or 3 calories by just that quick jolt at the end.
And especially if like they're not
and if you're taking your feet off really fast and just letting the handles,
if you're like letting it slow for 5 seconds, or you push it and let it go, it moves. So there might be little gamey things that I don't like about that, but I think overall this one is like the most exciting one to watch.
Yeah. I think it's like the Madrid one to me, like the
burpee thing.
Yeah, where it was like the row thruster, and then the target was the burpees, the 100 burpees or whatever, right? So you had...
You tried to finish in like 3 rounds, but it was a 4-round workout or something?
Yeah.
I remember
that was a gross one. I just, real quick, because you mentioned people finishing in the second round, there are also a lot of people that won't finish this workout. So
for sure.
You got to keep that in mind. If you're not great in the Echo Bike, you're listening to this, you're going to the Masters Games. Yeah. The cals are, it's a lot, 105.
Start the Mikko's progression this week.
Yeah. And the double unders and chest to bars are not insignificant.
Right.
You know, if you're 40 to 45 and you're not great at dubs and you're not great at chest to bars, and you have to break the double unders into 25, 25, 25, and break the chest to bars into 8-7-5, it'll take a lot of your working time in the second 2 intervals.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about it as if you were like younger in the Masters and trying to like
finish in one set.
Yeah. All right, ranking. Did you give it a ranking?
I did. I give it a 9.
Ooh,
that was when I gave it a 9.
I love that.
I thought that was very.
So
cool.
we have 2 9s right now. The first workout and this workout.
I thought it was an 8.
First one I think was an 8.
Oh, okay. So this
is the highest.
But it could have been a 9.
Okay.
This is the highest ranked one.
I want to see the younger games athletes do a workout like this. Like, I want to see them sell their souls on a machine. It's always in the middle.
Never mind.
With what?
Well, this year's Echo burpee workout.
Oh, Echo burpee. It was pretty much all.
It wasn't like it wasn't. Yeah, a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, workout 7, the standard. 30 clean and jerk, also known as Grace, into 30 ring muscle ups, also known as 30 ring muscle ups.
I was wondering.
And then 30 snatches, also known as Isabel.
We have a video of Travis doing the standard where right before it, he does an insane ladder lift right before you go into the standard. So
I remember
check that out.
A ladder lift? Like a real ladder? Or like a
He was moving the rings. But he put it as the title.
I do remember that. I was
thinking it was like a clean ladder.
People were clicking it like, I want to see him lift heavy.
It was a ladder.
No, there was a ladder standing where you were trying to like look cool and do your pre-warm up, like I'm getting ready thing. And it was kind of in your way. So then you got annoyed by it, picked it up, moved it to the side.
I don't remember that.
But
I like vaguely remember.
So many people clicked like, I missed it. Where was the ladder? And I was like, rewind.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, people don't always get the jokes.
So this is one where 55 plus, they're not doing this workout as well.
Yeah, so that's another one of the I don't know.
And I mean, we did this at the games. We've done this at the games for those that haven't.
Yeah, but a bummer for people that do have muscle ups that don't get to.
They would have to change the workout. 30 in the middle, no one would finish it in a 12-minute time cap at even 55 to 59 that are great.
15, which is still a very hard workout.
You would do 30, 15, 30, or just make it rounds for time. 10 rounds for time of 3, 3, 3, and then still get capped, but at least you get quite a few rounds of ring muscle ups.
Yeah.
I love this because it's something that has been tested. I like having some kind of named workout that's in these big events. And I also love it because I programmed it 2 weeks ago for all our Masters athletes before the workouts came out.
Nice. Did you get a leak?
No, but it's actually crazy because 4 of these we did almost the exact thing. We did the snatch ladder, we did that, we did an Echo Bike Max Cal, we did rope climb, sandbag, handstand walk. So it's been
you can tell Brandon has paid attention to the program.
I literally pulled every Legends program since they started, and then I watched about 10 podcasts with those guys on it, and basically came up with a formula of what would be tested in the center that they have.
You're getting 4 of 10 right. You've done pretty well.
Yeah. I feel like that used to happen.
No one tricked you?
Yeah. That used to happen like once every 2 seasons where I'd get a workout right.
Like
and
close.
I feel like now, it maybe because it's happened more and because we've seen what's happened, I feel like it's just a little bit like you can get the predictions closer now.
Yeah.
Especially if you know the programmer.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, ranking, I just feel like from a Masters one, I don't think this one's appropriate.
Give it a ranking.
Give it like a 6.
That's higher than your 5-1? Your energy is like lower with this
Man,
one.
I like
Yeah, I
it.
might actually. I
Give it a
honestly feel
9.
like give it a 4.
You're
or
giving
3.
me
like,
mixed signals here, man.
I think, I don't know. I just feel like watching older people do this just not seem safe.
Oh, on the muscle ups?
Yeah, and doing the workout multiple times. Like I've done this over my career, and I feel like it just gets sketchy sometimes on those 30 snatches that I feel like a lot of people don't need to be doing these.
But they did cut out the older divisions, right? And people probably get capped maybe.
It's 25 ring muscle ups too for 45, 49, and 50, 54. So there's a little bit less. I think it's a good test. I like it. I'm glad they
What
did
would
it.
you rank it? You get a rank.
A 9, yeah. It's a
Ooh,
9.
you got a 9 and a 4?
Yeah.
All right.
You gave it a
That's just
4?
taste.
Yeah.
It's not really much.
I called him out. He gave it a 6, and then his energy was like,
It was low.
you
I
were
look
like
at
kind of
this and I was like,
disgusted. Yeah, you're like, I hate this workout, but then you gave it a bigger ranking than whatever.
But I also feel like they just did a bunch of chest to bar right before that and a bunch of other things. So I'm
That
like,
is true.
How many more workouts do we have? I'm about to pee my
I mean,
pants.
this is
Okay, I'm going to set this camera down. Y'all carry on.
Which one? That one?
No, y'all are still rolling.
Oh,
I
we're going.
can't hold it anymore.
All right,
We got 3. We can
bladder.
let's
we
rock
can
through
do it.
these.
Yeah, we don't need Chris here anyway.
Yeah,
We really
Bye, Chris.
don't.
See you, man.
8 rounds for time, 8 bar facing burpee, 8 toes to bar, 1 clean at 255, 180, 8-minute time cap.
I like this.
Yeah.
I
Of
think
course
this
you
is
do.
You could
He didn't want the ring muscle up one.
Yeah, I don't want the ring muscle up one, 100%.
Travis
But
was like an excited
I love high
puppy,
power.
like, "Woo."
Yeah, I love high power output just test of like what's possible. And then this is, you just grip it and rip it kind of thing. And the burpees are definitely going to play a role.
People will not be gripping and ripping.
By
I mean,
the
that
end.
weight
But to
is-
me, looking at this, like this is
you.
like just try to muscle clean it as fast as you can in my head and like just pick it up.
Yeah.
That won't be how most people are lifting.
Well, yeah, the one thing about this workout is for those that are super strong, like Travis, who's just got like bear grips.
Jimmy.
You can, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
They're going to be able to go fast on the burpee toe to bar because the clean isn't a bottleneck. But I think for most athletes, even the younger athletes, 35, 39, there are going to be some that have to pace the burpee and the toe to bar where it's like, it doesn't matter how fast they go. They actually should go slow because the clean is going to end up being almost a 1 RM by the 7th and 8th round.
Yeah, and they might have to like belt
Those
up.
last
Yeah.
3 rounds are going to get spicy.
There could be like really high level competitive games athletes that like right now their max clean is like 305 or 315. So it's a pretty big percentage. But then there's others that are probably like max power clean of 340. Right. Like Jimmy.
Like a Jimmy. Yeah.
So
There's a lot of variance there, though.
yeah, for sure. But I think for most people, it actually will be a separator. Not because they'll miss the lift, but because of like how fast can you step up and actually
That's right.
lift it.
Like I would have to take 20 seconds before each one. It would. That's such a long 255 after 5-6 rounds. Think about how heavy that gets for people.
We call
You're
Brandon.
going to take 20 seconds and you're going to beat me on an AMRAP Echo Bike. Get out of here. You were not going to take 20 seconds to pick this up.
What are you talking?
We're playing
255
possum
is
right
heavy.
now, Brandon.
Brandon?
All right. And so the other thing I wanted to
He's
talk
moving
about.
on.
Get out of here.
He's not going to let us call him
The
out.
weight is heavy for the older age groups. 55 to 59 is 205, 145, which is very heavy for that age group. I think it's a good loading if they wanted one that's going to truly test like strength under fatigue. But why are you laughing still?
I want you to do this workout and I want you to wait 20 seconds before you pick up the bar each
You
time.
won't wait 20 seconds.
Yes.
You don't even know what a 20-second rest is, man.
If it was 8 rounds of burpee and toe to bar, maybe not. But 255 is heavy, dude. That is so heavy.
You would get time cap. 20 seconds.
That's
times
my point.
8 rounds is 160
I think
seconds.
that there will be guys in the 35 to 39 that get time capped.
If I'm selling my soul on this AMRAP bike one, you have to do this one.
and show us your
And you have to
20-second
show
rest.
us your 20 seconds.
You have to get 85 calories in the first 4
No, I
minutes.
said 80.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, anyways.
What did I miss? Did y'all rank it?
Oh, yeah,
No,
what's
we
the
didn't
ranking?
rank it, but we just said
We were making
some-
fun of Brandon's Brandon's playing possum again.
He is. He's
Yeah.
good at it. He's very good at it. Ranking? I like this. I give it 8.5.
I thought you were going to do a 10 out of 10. That is your, I mean, you would just,
I would. This one,
Smoke it.
I would. I don't know. I don't know what deserves a 10. I don't feel like I can give anything a 10.
I feel like
anything's perfect.
Event 9 might be one you really like.
Yeah, it's Travis's
5 minutes
favorite.
to establish a 1 RM
10.
front squat.
10 out of 10.
Get a 10. Oh,
Just
Yeah,
simple
I mean-
and
10?
pure.
what?
Was that for real a 10?
I mean, I love a good 1 rep max. I feel like they kind of get away with it now. They don't really do it very often. It's a complex. It's something else.
Or it's
There's
a speed ladder
or
or-
there's one attempt at it. Like, Something like this, simple, 5 minutes. Let the people just showcase. If you fail, clean it back up, do it again, whatever. But like, I love traditional. Just go for it. And this,
do you think that you could out squat if I did a back squat 1RM and you did a front squat 1RM?
I would. I think I would be very close to beating you. Yes.
Ooh.
What do you think you could hit right now?
405.
Oh no, you wouldn't beat me then.
All right. Well, are you going below parallel or above?
Just
to a box.
I don't know. I think I'd be close. Not to beating you. I don't think beating you, but I think I'd be.
It would be close.
Close.
I don't really have anything to add on this. 5 minutes to establish a max basically means that if you miss a lift, you're going to have to strip it, clean it, get it back up.
Well,
so it's
and
probably
does it
just
start loaded or unloaded? I think that's a big question
Yeah.
too, because if it's unloaded, then you're spending the whole time just loading the bar.
Yeah. I think probably like 3 attempts for people in that window, right?
Yeah, so
maybe
quite
more
a few
if
have done
you can,
4
like, do it really quick.
But I think 4 lifts. But I think 3 is right. You do right away. Let's say the bar is loaded right away. You do your first one. It's like one that you know 100% of the time you can get. Your second one's 95% of the time you can get, and then your third's like what you hope you can get. Yeah. And then if you have more time, if you had 30 seconds, you would add 10 pounds and go for it, right? If you're at the games,
I'd probably like a 40-pound jump. Honestly, I'm usually a big jump kind of guy.
On a max front squat though, you're not making.
I've never gone 405 to like 415. I would always go 425 or 430.
But you would, let's say if it was 425 was your goal, you'd be 395 or 405 to start, and then 425 is your middle one, and then you would do another one.
If I was doing 3 attempts in this format, yeah, I mean, my best is 430 or something. So I'd probably go like 395, one that I know like I'm going to get on the board regardless. I'd probably go 410. I'd go a little above the traditional, like what everybody would do, because everybody's going to go 405. And then from there, then probably take a more aggressive finishing one. Because for me, when it's like I hit my nervous system of like full fight against that mashed potato, I got one of those. So for me, it's like, I'll grind it out, but I'll just take the risk of taking a bigger jump and try.
Man, you did that with one of the cleans at the games. You caught one.
His feet went inwards.
Like, dude,
his feet literally jumped in.
That was the strangest experience.
What happened? It was so weird.
Well, I went power for all of them, and then the second 285, I like power squat, and then I was like, I have to squat this, like my legs, like to moving out. They originally changed the rep too, so it changed the feeling.
The workout changed.
Did 11 reps versus 4.
Right.
So then when you go to the next one, it definitely changed my mind. And when I got to the final one, I didn't think I would fail. But as soon as I pulled the bar, I was like, I'm going to fail this. And my feet literally jumped in. And I was like, I don't even know what just happened to my body. And I like rounded. And I was like, if you drop this, you're not advancing. So it was like, just suck it up and get through it. It's like win ugly kind of thing.
It was so funny because like the power cleans look so easy. You like were muscle cleaning them. And then you just went.
Yeah. And I think I honestly I didn't squat enough warming up to that. Like even when we went up to the final bar, I remember I was at like 295 and I did one before the final and both my calves cramped.
Yeah.
So I knew going into it.
Chad.
Yeah. So I knew going into it, it was like, I don't know how this 325 and whatever. So I was definitely way more cautious, like running up, because I was like, stay as relaxed as possible, pulling like close to a 1RM. And it was like, I remember just like pushing down and like trying not to get into triple extension because my calves were going to lock up.
You still crushed it.
What's the craziest numbers we're going to see?
I think you're going to see like 450.
No. In the 35 to 39?
I saw some people's squats.
Sam Dancer, maybe? Is he in the field?
Jimmy?
No. Oh, Bronislaw is in it too.
You're going to have some people that are going to be close to 450.
Oh, my God.
440.
I'll say 430.
You're going to see over that.
Low force.
What are we seeing at the highest?
It's also
division?
event 9.
There's not that much squatting. It's all overhead.
Is the highest age division doing this one?
Yep. Everyone's doing that.
What's the biggest number we're going to see? Predictions. For the highest age division, what's the biggest number?
I think there's going to be
plus.
I don't know about 65
There's going to be some people
plus.
that will surprise you, I think, into the 300s.
The 55 to 59, there'll be quite a few in the 300s.
Yeah.
They're still strong. There are a lot of strong guys.
What was the 2 years ago when I was coaching Mark Sewell? I think there was like a 3RM front squat. He was 50.
Wasn't it the total, the CrossFit total? Didn't they do something like that with a squat?
I think so.
Was there a front squat in it? I feel like he hit a 305 for a triple when we were training.
He's strong.
He was a very strong, and he was 4th in 55 to 50. He's competing, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right, last
somewhere
event.
around there.
Last event.
The last one.
Last one.
8, 12, 16, single arm dumbbell thruster, bar muscle up, 8-minute cap, heavier dumbbell, 70, 50. Travis, ranking? Oh, I could just see
but
it.
you just did the ring muscle up, now going into the bar muscle up with the same number of reps.
Give your ranking.
5. I mean, I think this would be a cool one to do. I think this would be like a fun one to do. But I think like just doing 30 ring muscle up to now 30 bar muscle up just seems like a lot.
What do you view it as like a final workout, knowing that it's like if points are close, that this could be a...
This is going to be a big separator.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is going to separate so fast. It's not going to be like a sprint to the finish, or like this is going to be very...
There might be a sprint to the finish in the 35 to 39. That might be a good race.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
The problem with
70-pound
ascending rep schemes
and the 70-pound dumbbell, I think is going to change it. Like, do you have to switch halfway? Do you have to advance forward?
But you don't think the top 10 in 35 to 39?
I don't know the top 10.
But I mean, you know, Will's one of them. Elijah Muhammad's in there. Like, you know, the types of athletes that Paul Tremblay's in the field. They're basically games athletes that are older now.
I still think it's going to be separated a lot more.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, the 16 reps at the end of that. If
think about it at the
games.
games. Like Fikowski blowing up, like I think he paced it well too. And you just bar muscle ups, if they go after doing all those ring muscle ups, I agree with Travis. I think it's going to be a little bit slower. That's the only knock I have with ascending rep schemes is the last workout, because then it's almost like a little bit too much of a pace for a lot of people, as opposed to it being it's fun when everyone has to
me. I think like what year was that? We did the shuttle run, legless rope climb. Like that to me was
semi-final workout, the
just
10 rounds?
very simple, but everybody's like, you're pretty much sprinting the whole time, but like,
yeah, that wouldn't be masters, but I get what you're saying.
No, but like that concept of something short, not super high skill, not like let people race. And
I like the test. If I were giving a ranking on viewability,
you don't give ranks
for masters.
You don't give ranks.
All right, I'll
take your rank away.
I'll be the critic. I'll give subjective criticisms for masters as the final workout from like a viewer perspective. I feel like that won't be as cool to watch as if it were lower reps of bar muscle ups, or if it had ascending rep schemes, it was something simple that people could like take the risk on going unbroken. When it's a high complexity skill like that, I think it'll just get kind of slow and grindy and not be that cool.
Yeah, I feel like it should be the other way. 16, 12, 8. Like, so they could potentially try to go unbroken.
It
like,
still would
going
separate,
to 16.
It would separate,
but I mean,
but there'd be more fun at the end.
Yeah, but I feel like because then you would see people try to go for 8.
Yeah.
You see 16, you're like, that's not going to happen at the end of that.
Nor is it wise, because then you're really going to blow yourself up.
I think you should.
Okay. I would do them all unbroken.
What do you guys think?
I think this should be the workout max demos for everybody.
I agree.
To show them that I could do it unbroken.
16 at the end, yes.
I mean, I couldn't do that if I rested for an hour before. Like, I do my last set of thrusters, be like, all right, I'm going to rest for an hour, get my arms feeling good.
What were the last 2 workouts at the games that they did back to back? What were the reps?
20.
24, 24, 21, 21, 18, 18, 15, 15.
What do you guys think about tests like that, where basically the same person's winning both events, or they're?
I thought it was very poorly programmed.
It's just double. They've done that multiple
points.
times. Yeah,
for it to be 200 points.
It's like
not make sense.
Squat, upper body pulling. The same people are going to be good at both. Events.
Literally the same open workout.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all.
I've wondered what I'd love to just like pick people's brains that are coming up with the programming and why they do those back to back with 200 points on the line at the end of a competition. Just because, again, it's always the same. You're just selecting the same style of athlete or type of athlete, which it benefits those that moved up the leaderboard.
Yeah, great. But yeah, I agree. It shouldn't have been. That's literally for the same person, right? Like, unless you fully imploded on the first one, like you were going to do well on both of them 98% of the time. Where I think if you had just like 2 separate movements, whether it was like bar muscle up thruster, sure, is one, but then the other one is like power snatch, ring dip, something like just change the
just
movement,
different.
like something different. It really is like we've done the thruster pull up finale so many times, like,
and in the open.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You do it in the open, you do it in quarterfinals. Like, just you can mix it up. It doesn't have to be just the same finale. But to me, I didn't like that, and it being worth 200 points.
We can't end on that.
So, no,
I have something I want to end it on. So just even listen to this conversation. If you're a masters athlete tuning in, there's so many age groups that. How do y'all, when it comes to training these different age groups, like where's the big division? It's not all the same, and like how do you group them and chunk them and make it make sense?
Well, since I coach
should there
so
be
many
names
of them,
this is going to be me and Brandon probably talking more. And also, Did you lose our little?
Whatever. Sorry. What do you need?
Should there be names for split the Masters into two different names where it's like you have the 35 to where's the halfway mark?
Yeah, like 35 to 50 and 50 plus.
Yeah, I feel like it's so different, right?
There are some big changes already from 35, 39 to 40 to 44, believe it or not. And maybe I should pull this back up and redo it, or we can repost it. Chris, I did a Masters webinar probably like 3 years ago where I took the data from 2015 to 2019, or maybe it was 2020, somewhere like a 5-year period. And I basically just took all the top scores in every age group, and I showed the deterioration from 35, 39 all the way up to 55 to 59, or maybe even 60 to 64 at the time. And the point of it was to show the amount of volume that's needed in each age group, the speed of reps that has to happen in each age group, and then also like to be okay with getting a little bit slower as you age, as long as you're mitigating that deterioration compared to the field. So if you think about it, if you're 35, you're probably going to front squat more than when you're 55. But if you can slow that deterioration as you age, you're going to be better off than most 55-year-olds. And so I think the way that you train is just a little bit different. It's not always about hitting PRs and going a little bit faster, but it's about moving well, staying healthy, training the right way, and thinking about health and longevity, because for a lot of people, I just had this conversation with someone the other day. They're 50 to 54 age group. They're 2 years away from 55 plus, and that's their goal. So how do we train someone for 2 years to get to that goal at 55? You can't do the same things that Travis is doing at 32 or 33 because you're just going to run them into the ground. So I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, but you think about it based on their age, and then we have so many data points of how fast someone needs to move in each age group, what their average loading should be for a snatch, for a clean, for a front squat, for a thruster, and we just compare those scores when new people come in.
Well, so we should probably just run it back and do another Masters podcast after we get back at some point.
Yeah, I think Masters training podcast too would be good just to talk about it, because it's very subjective. There are some, like, as part of, I don't know if we're going to release it now, but we created a Masters training document for Masters athletes in the sport. And one of the things that we put in there was taking the world record Olympic lifts per weight class. And, you know, you have Masters athletes all the way throughout in powerlifting and weightlifting. And we use 100-meter dash score too. So we took the best people in the world at singular disciplines and show the speed curve or the loading curve of how you lose a little bit of speed and a little bit of strength each decade. So having some awareness of that, I think, and being just mindful is like one of the things that can help Masters athletes to figure out, okay, well, how much strength am I losing relative to the field? How much more speed work should I do? Where should I cut my volume out? So it's really about, I think, figuring out what that Masters individual needs and what the tests are going to look like. Because 65 plus, and maybe this changes, but like they didn't do handstand walk, they didn't do muscle up. So, and they take the loading down. So it goes from a sport that was a little bit more strength oriented and makes it a little bit more conditioning and low skill oriented. So you got to have some level of understanding of what you're up against, more focus on the stuff outside the gym, more food, nutrition, warm-ups, figuring out, like we talked about the Mikko's triangle, that's a great progression to run for Masters athletes. The injury risk is lower. It's something you can get better at for really long periods of time. So I think it's more, there is changes in training, but it's much more individualized for people relative to their age, the division they're in, what their career is, how much training they've done in their past, and what type of training. So I would say mindfulness and awareness is probably the biggest like difference for older athletes.
Yeah. To come back to that Masters handbook that you just talked about will be released. We'll probably do it at the end of this week during the Masters games. And Kyle Ruth put that together. He did a great job. He's a Masters athlete himself. And basically he kind of runs through like, here are the things that you need to think about as you age in the sport where you're doing a lot of different things and you got to do them really well, but you want to do it for a long period of time. And I think it's hard to balance all of those. Like 1 year going really hard and pushing yourself maybe works, but like if you have a goal to be in the 40 to 44 and then 45 to 49 and so on, it's hard to stay healthy for a long time and continue to move better and see performance gains. So knowing how to do that well, I think really helps.
Yeah. In it, I think there's like nutritional guidance. There's things that can draw your awareness. There's types of training that you should add to it. Like
sample programs,
a sample program from our Masters program that highlights like, how is the programming slightly different for older athletes? additional things that they could do for warm-up.
Well, speaking of aging, my batteries are dying. So let's wrap it up before this thing dies.
Will that PDF be in the comments?
Huh?
Will that PDF or the link be in the comments? All right. So check that out. If you're at the Masters games, come say hi. At least me and Brandon will be there, and Chris. And that's all I got.
I won't be there.
I'll post that webinar too. I'm going to give it to you, Chris.
I'm glad that it was a Masters webinar because no one younger than a Masters athlete is going to know what webinar means.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, no. He yelled at me for that yesterday. Yeah.
The webinar.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
See you, folks.
See ya.